All right, so hello everyone, Carlos again for another Evolve Expert session. And in this session, we're joined by Rogerio, who's based in Brazil, and he leads Pinterest in Brazil. We'll explore Pinterest's transformation into an intent-based commerce platform, its strategic relevance in Brazil, and how advertisers are leveraging its unique audience. We'll discuss platform differentiation, transpotting, and the evolving role of content authenticity in the AI era. Ending with career reflections from Rogerio himself. Rogerio, I always start with a bit of a controversial question. So the controversial question for you today is, AI is making content creation faster, yeah, but also riskier. With generative tools flooding platforms, how does Pinterest preserve authenticity while still encouraging innovation?
Perfect. Yeah. So nice to meet you, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, Carlos, and great question to start, right? So let me tell you what we are doing on the Gen AI part of Pinterest. What we believe as a platform that we are the platform for inspiration for people to transform, like to get inspiration, to make it, to live the life they love. So to make it to the reality, right? To put it in place, to put in the real life. So at the same time, like the technology is coming. So we are not at this point working specifically to Gen AI content that are input by users, but we are doing is we are using technology and Gen AI to better support advertisers and the user experience for the shopping part of it. What that means, like on the AI part overall, we have a lot of different tools, right? But specifically in the Gen AI and the image Gen AI, that I'm assuming that's what you're specifically saying. What you're doing is that when you upload a catalog on a shopping catalog for the platform as an advertiser or an e-commerce, a big amount of the SKUs we usually has like the blank, background, like the white background with no context. So a simple piece of anything. So what we are doing is that our platform is creating automatically, and creating backgrounds and giving context for images at scale, considering the user intention and also the product availability, like the product that the advertiser is offering. So with that, what we've been observing is that getting, for example, this glass with a white background, when you put this over a table and with a background with some context, doing it at scale and personalizing that background for every user's experience and interest, and then helps the user to understand better what situation that product that's being offered could be used. So with that, we increase a lot the engagement of people, and we can help users to understand better like this. So the Gen AI at this case is helping the whole chain to better understand and increase value on overall. So the user has a better experience as he has contextualized products over the different contexts. And for the advertisers, all the rates, like the click rates, the conversion rates, and all of the performance of that what we call performance plus SKUs, performance plus activation, is much better than others. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I'll use your answer to like the segue to my next question, which is, I think Pinterest has a very interesting story, and that's the beauty of companies, right? You start as one thing, you start maybe like doing something, and there's a transformation. So Pinterest started as kind of like a mood board, right? And it evolved into, I think I see Pinterest becoming more like a shopping platform, a destination of shopping of sorts. So the question I would have, maybe if it's perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about this journey that Pinterest has been going through. Yeah, let's start there. I have some data that I pulled also from Statista that I can share with you, because I think in terms of users, Pinterest has 518, if that is correct, 18 million across the world. But we'll get to that in terms of who uses Pinterest in Brazil and what you know also from other regions. But perhaps we could start like from this transformation, like going from mood board to a platform now where there's discovery, right?
Perfect. So let me give you one personal example on how the journey and what's the use case of Pinterest as an user, right? So before that, as I mentioned before, our mission is to inspire people to live the life they love. So what that means in practical, like we get into Pinterest to get inspired for something we want to do. So that there's always an intention behind a user using Pinterest. So if I'm gonna, remodel my home, if I'm gonna get married, if I'm gonna just understand what's the look I'm gonna wear for next party I'm coming, or if how to host people at home and decorate, all the dinner and everything. So every single search and navigation has an intention behind, an intention of something people are gonna do. So they're gonna do in the future. So I'm planning something that I want to do, and that's totally related with myself. So the first thing is something. There's an intention. There's an intention to really do things in real life in the future. So this is one thing. The second thing is the relationship with the platform is really intimate. Like there's an intimacy across the searches and everything that people join the platform and interact with the platform, because it's something that they want for themselves. Like they're not, concerning about what others gonna think about me. People do not join the platform to look what Carlos has done last night. So what you're post. So it doesn't matter. Like there is a clear intention on things I want to do, but for myself. So instead of for my selfie, it's for myself. So this relationship with the platform is pretty strong, and this intention to the future is pretty strong. So on my personal case, 7 years ago, I was moving from one home to another, and I used Pinterest to inspire myself on what's going to be the decor, what's going to be like the sofa, what's going to be things around I would like to put in place at my own home, my new home. So great. I found a really great sofa, but here from Brazil, the nicest, the one I like it was in France. So for us in Brazil, like transcontinental, what is the chance of bringing a sofa from France to Brazil? On my end is really low. I would never bring like a sofa from France to Brazil, just in case there's something really, really, specific that I need that, but it's not the case. Cut 2 years ago, I changed, I moved it again. So I decided to move from home again. I had a son right now, so things changed, and I decided to move to a new home. But now on the platform, we had advertising, we have, e-commerces, we have a lot of people on the platform. What happens is my whole journey to search for things at the platform were much easier to find things that are feasible, that I could afford, that I could put in place in the real life. So what means is that on the first journey I had 7 years ago, I had no feasible things. Like there are lots of operations, but no advertisers, no e-commerces, present in the platform, as we didn't have operations in Brazil on the advertising side and helping like e-commerces to be there. So everything I found was really hard to find and to make it real for me. 2 years ago, we had a lot of advertisers coming up and bringing their feeds, their e-commerce, and then so the inspiration I found could be made, like could be real, feasible. So I could buy something that I could put exactly what I found as inspiration to home. So what that means, like this high level of intention and intimacy of this has a big importance for the user journey. The advertising across this journey and the e-commerces overall, they are not kind of interrupting a journey of watching a movie. They are not interrupting like the whole journey. They are kind of a catalysator. Is that correct? Like the way, like it's an enabler.
Correct. An enabler, yes, perfect.
It's shorten like the journey of finding inspiration and make it real. So they help across the process of our main intention. That's find inspiration to make it real. Make it sense?
Yes. So basically, what I'm understanding is that Pinterest is a very good platform for well, there are many, I think, many use cases, but in your case, you're mentioning that you were moving from one home to another, then you were looking for inspiration for a sofa, or for your home decor, and then you found inspiration there, and from that point where you found inspiration, then it Pinterest led you to a place, or I don't know, architects or whatever you could buy from. Is that it?
Yeah, on that point, it was like
Mm-hmm.
the Pinterest has content for all over the world, so you can find great
Mm-hmm.
inspiration. Some are buyable, like we can buy it. Some are not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the the ones that they are part of an e-commerce is part of the inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. We have the operation of advertising and helping e-commerce to onboard a platform in Brazil. It's 4 years now, so that helps like
Mm-hmm.
having things that can be shoppable, right? So that's the difference and that's part of your question, like what we've been doing as a platform for the last years. We've been investing a lot on helping to change like the way platform is done to help advertisers and many e-commerces to make everything shoppable. So
Mm-hmm.
it's much easier for everyone and for the user if they can find things they can buy. So that's why we invested a lot in AI, in infrastructure, in shopping features to help to ensure in this journey for the user and to help advertisers get more ROI across the journey.
Perfect. So Pinterest is really a place for, I can see it as a destination inspiration. It makes sense for me. So when you compare it with Meta or TikToks, where would you place Pinterest, in that? And
Perfect.
and the reason why I'm asking that is because I think the first time we spoke, you mentioned something really interesting that I wasn't aware of. For example, you said, did you know that Pinterest is, I think, the second largest destination or a discovery channel for Shein, for example, in Brazil, right? Maybe it was Shein or some other brand.
Yeah,
I don't remember which brand.
Which is the second traffic driver
Yeah,
on
correct.
social for Shein.
Mhm.
So we are on the social
Exactly.
platforms. Pinterest is the second, traffic driver for them. This is
Mhm.
not internal information. It's public information, just in case everyone. Yeah, it's
Perfect. Perfect. This
from
is not live,
the
so
web and
like
all of
we're
this
just
website. But it's similar web. It's global third-party data, not myself saying that.
perfect. So in that sense, where do you compare Pinterest and Meta and TikTok? How would you differ them from
Perfect.
an advertiser's perspective? I think that's also important.
No, great. That's a great question because what we really face, like I always hear about the advertisers and agencies and everyone that okay, Pinterest, we fall on a bucket of social network, right?
Mhm.
But and I've been in Google for almost 10 years before joining Pinterest, and the social thing was kind of a meta thing at that point. Like there's TikTok to
Mhm.
privacy, so it's a meta, Instagram and all of this. But the part is Pinterest is put in a social bucket. There is a social part of it, so we can find, like for example, Carlos' profile. I can look at it and see your interest and see everything. We can share things, we can like things, we can comment things. So the features of the social exists,
Mhm.
and all of this is part of the journey and how people interact with the platform. But this is not the main thing, like on the platform. As I mentioned, like in the beginning, like I don't, people do not come to the platform to find what you're doing, what you've done yesterday, and we do not scroll like, unintentionally.
Mhm.
The one
Mhm.
example is
Mhm.
that the scrolling speed at Pinterest is 3 times slower than other platforms. So people
Mhm.
come like with intention, looking at what's seen in the feed. They're not just like when you're waiting in the lift, when you go to the ground to your level, like for the 10th floor. When
Mhm.
you're in the
Mhm.
elevator and the lift, you're spending, okay, Pinterest is not the platform to
Mhm.
spend that time. Like you have
Mhm.
intention about it. So And you have search, like we have search engine on that as well. So people comes with the intention, they have a plan. So besides we have a social bucket that's important, like we have all of this discoverability. So we used to say that Pinterest is more than a social platform, is like of a personal discovery platform, something like that. Make sense?
It does. It does. Let's move on and ask talk to let me ask you about Pinterest in Brazil. What I found here, and then you can please correct me. But it says that Pinterest is Brazil's second largest international market. Not sure if that is correct. So that is according to ChatGPT, ChatGPT's finest research. So and what makes the Brazilian user base so active and commercially relevant? I mean, we are very, we are social creatures as human beings, but in Brazil, we definitely are heavy social media users. So perhaps you can tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, that's true. Like as other social platforms, as like Brazil has a really high adoption of social and this kind of, right? Not different than the others. We have the same behavior with Pinterest. So that's true. We have a big user base here. We're talking about 41 million people, monthly active users on Pinterest in Brazil, across the 519 or 538, I believe, like this is the last number. But today we're gonna have like our earning call. So this is gonna be tonight. Probably gonna have some updates on some numbers. But that's more than 500 million people across the world, and Brazil is the second user base we have across the world.
And what's the first one? The US?
US, yeah. It's US.
Okay. And so what are the sectors or verticals that you see most tractions and using Pinterest? And
sure. I'm going to bring like in two different perspectives. So when you look to the advertising part of it, retail is pretty big. Of course, like they can, be the enabler for people buying things. So retailers are really strong as advertisers, and CPG companies as well. So those are the biggest. But all other companies, for example, like finance, tech, have all spaces for that. But the majority of the places are that, because on the user behavior, like we have different, interest-based buckets. So the biggest like ones are much related to home decor, to beauty, to fashion, to food. So travel, do it yourself. So these are the main interests that we see, like a huge engagement, interest, and searches across the platforms, and not only in Brazil but across the whole globe. Is kind of aligned, right?
Yeah, I really see the use case, because I'm a very lousy home decor type of guy. Do it yourself is not. This is not me. So I would go to Pinterest. No, totally. I mean, I would go to Pinterest to say, okay, I need some inspiration to do some home deco here. But I'm not the type of do-it-yourself guy. Like this is very Brazilian in general. In Europe, they're really good at it. But for example, I would look for inspiration, and then perhaps, and if I have the resources, I would look for an architect or someone who could at least help me design that thing that I'm looking at. So what I like you to what I like to explore a bit with you is some of the use cases that you see. So is it just from a brand perspective where they can say, hey, this is what you can do? It's a brand with an architect, for example, in partnership with an architect, making that it could be a real estate, it could be a sofa, it could be whatever. Can you elaborate a little bit on the use cases, because we will speak about your advertising and business model and things like
that. Like the perspective of having an architect and some users are remodeling, for example, it's a pretty common use case, because the architects create shared boards with the who is remodeling and the architects, and then they get together and create some boards to share easily, like the inspirations they are finding on what they are intending to have in their house. So, but this is a third-party relationship, like from the users. It's like a two-user base, like it's an architect and someone that's, two users. So the brands comes in the process on being the inspiration and make it feasible, right? So, but I'm gonna, besides of the, we're thinking lots about like the home decor use case, but thinking about a fashion thing, like you're looking for, a look to go into a party or to go to a wedding or just to go to work. So I like to find like a new white shoes, right? So I put I want a white sneaker, for example. The thing is, one important fact is that like the searches at the platform are 96% unbranded. So people come with open mind here, right? So the role of the brand here is like, oh, I have white sneakers, right? So people are open-minded. So we can share, or if they like it, like they're gonna save to the board, or they're gonna just click to buy and go and buy into the website. So that's a decision. So the brands in this role comes into to offer like the solution of the search of the interest comes across the process, and this is a very personal. We do not depend on a third party, for example, an architect or for anyone else to make it viable, right? So in a different vertical perspective, like the look, we are planning like a party for my son, like the different ways of doing that, like what kind of like my son likes, cars. Great. So I'm looking at a party, got cars, for 3-year-old child. So that we look, and there are lots of inspirations on the ways we can make the party happen, like the decor, and having actually a retailer selling me the items I need to make it happen. That's kind of, not sure if it's clear, like, or for example, we're looking for a makeup for somewhere. Look, so people helping us to make it, like for to get yourself ready or to make your hairstyle for some. So we get some tutorial boards, and then they can or make it at home, like create your own, or give it to some hair hairstylist or someone bring out, this is what I want, how do you help make me that? So there are a lot of different use cases you can make, or easily finding some recipes for cooking at night. So you can find a recipe and make it done, or just to arrange like the table to hold someone at home. So I try to give different verticals examples just to illustrate a little bit.
Yeah, and is there a brand that stood out for you that I mean there's a different business case that you could mention that stood out, something that from a brand perspective?
There's a bunch of examples. Let me try to give you an example that comes like from the very beginning of the journey, like thinking about that people comes to the platform with a future intention. It's a privilege for us at Pinterest to get kind of the understanding of what's going to come and become a trend. So we are able to predict things that are still becoming, they're still not a trend, but it's become a trend in the future. So with that kind of information and this kind of data, we have a lot of studies and, two main tools, brands and people, anyone can use, are like our trends tool. That's a self-service tool for advertisers. You just need to have a business account at Pinterest to access that, and you can work and play yourself, like to understand what are trending right now, what kind of search is what we are seeing and behavior in the platform that can help your brand to be there and talk to the customers on that moment. But aside of this self-service tool, we have a study that we release every year that is the Pinterest Predicts. So we release it for the last 10 years. We have released it. We usually in the end of the year predicting what's going to become a trend on the next year. The great thing is that in the last 6 years, we've met 8 every 10 trends we've predicted. So we got right, like 8 in 10. The thing is, the first years we didn't measure that. So that's why we don't know if it was 8, if it was 7, if it was 9, or it was 2 that we got right. But the thing is, we have a pretty big assertive on what we are predicting, because we have a big amount of people working here on the insights on the data team that can leverage the data and find the right bets on what's becoming trend. One interesting is that like brands can take advantage on that and partner with us to use these trends to one, create products or create campaigns around that trend. So they can anticipate what is becoming. So create stock, building stocks and creating collections. I have an example that's for Brazil. A few years ago, I would say like 2 years ago, we released like one trend. It was the psychedelic decor and things like, so a lot of mushrooms everywhere. So mushroom decor, mushrooms at clothes, mushrooms as design, mushrooms everywhere. I've seen Alexander, taking your head. So you've probably seen a lot of mushrooms everywhere 2 years ago. And one brand in Brazil, they noticed that, oh, that could be an opportunity for me. So what they done? They understood, and they first bought some kind of MVP stocks. They are a reseller, right? They are a retailer. They bought a collection on different assortment of mushrooms, for example, like lighting and vase, so some decor, a lot of mugs on mushroom with the form, like so. And they saw, oh, that's performing well. So let's gonna give the second step. So they started changing the communications, like the not only the advertising, but the UX on the website, and putting a section for the mushroom things. And so they changed it, the website, and then they put like the comms and the ads. So what they've seen is that they got full on it. So they were pretty great. They've seen big, higher conversion rates on that category. They were well prepared, like beforehand prepared than the competitors on having stock and having communications, have sections for that trend that become a trend yet. So they did a really great performance. And 1 year later, like I'm not sure if you know, but in Brazil, Big Brother is still a big show on TV here. It's the 25th edition right now, but the thing is, they got a big room, and the year later, like we released the trend in December. Then in May, I was just presenting this case, for example, in the market, like showing, look what they done. In the next year, like in January, when they launched the Big Brother, they had a room with this trend, like more than 1 year later. And who sold, like who was the seller for all of these decors on that room for Big Brother, was this player that was well prepared, like in the beginning. So it's a kind of one use case on how to use the trends and how to use Pinterest to get prepared and get like one step ahead from others on the market. And
Perfect. I very interesting. We're gonna open the mic here for our community to ask you questions. But I have maybe just two more questions. So just to make sure I understood it right, or just to get the line of thought here. So Pinterest is a place where I can, as a user, also spot trends. Is that something that I can, as a Carlos? I'm into whatever communities, right? That's my field, and then B2B communities. It's not. Let's say I'm an architect and I start seeing that people are looking more for a specific type of chair. Is that the type of use case that it's possible for a brand to have access to some sort of search insights and then start creating around that? Is that correct? And you mentioned mushrooms, so it can be anything. Just make sure I'm getting. Yeah.
We have two different ways for the brands to understand what's going to become a trend. One is the Pinterest Predicts study. We release once a year in the end of the year. And the second one, there is a trends tool, like it's a self-service tool. You can access having just a business profile on Pinterest. So having this business profile, you jump in and search for business for trends tool. You're gonna find this self-service, and then you can play with anything you want.
Interesting. Very good. My final question, Rogerio, is just about your career. You developed a career around logistics, supply chain engineering, and then you went to Google, and now Pinterest. So perhaps just a mindset shift that you had to make, moving from Google to Pinterest, if any.
Yeah, actually, the most changes was coming from logistics, right? I've loaded a lot of trucks in my life. I've been, held in some warehousing, I've been managing like the distribution centers of some from Danone, for example, in Brazil. I've been the manager of supply chain. So, and then I moved to finance, kind of being the controller and on Danone as well. So, but then, there was something that shifted in my mind during the process of changing to the finance things, that I was observing like the whole thing, and I say, look, I can contribute much more on driving revenue than, cutting costs. So I've seen like myself much better on driving business, further than, optimizing all of the costs of the change and everything. And of course, like being in the core on the company and leading the way we drive revenue is, a much interesting way on drive the changes we want to make and giving, having a bigger impact. So that was my biggest motivation, but of course challenging because, as an engineer, then I went to study for some business management. Then I went, another area for marketing and get prepared and learn everything. But that's, something I love, to learn and to study everything. So it's interesting, like keep learning, keep, and with all of you and
Brilliant.
communities.
Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. So I think Marlene, she had a question. I'll open the mic also for Alexis here. All right, Alexis, go ahead. I'll read Marlene's question soon. Just fire away.
Yes. So I have a couple of questions, but I start with one first. Thank you for the insights. So I've been a Pinterest girly throughout my life for phases, depending on like which phase I was in, because inspiration is definitely a thing that Pinterest does better than any other platform, even better than TikTok and Instagram, that at least from my opinion, for my generation. So as a retail reporter, I do have two significant questions. The very first one is that what questions are you actually getting asked by potential clients that want to advertise on the platform the most? Like, what's the top question in 2025? And how does it differ, or does it differ from the question that you've been asked 2024?
Oh, great question. One thing is that you mentioned like from generations, right? One question is that who is at Pinterest? Like, who are those, 500 million users across the globe? And because as you mentioned, like the users have like different journeys across Pinterest, across life. So there are some always on journeys. For example, the fashion ones, the food ones, like the beauty ones are kind of always on, and routine journeys you have been following. But get married, usually it's once, maybe twice, depends on, but you get married like few times, you move from home to another a few times. When you have children, it's not that a lot as usual. So there are different life moments people live. So that's why people usually think like, okay, I've been there, so this is a use case, this is a niche, or this is a more old behavior, like as TikTok is Gen Z, right? So Gen Z is on TikTok, they are not at Pinterest, but that is not true. Like the answer is that like 40% of our audience are Gen Z, and they are the highest growing rate audience in the platform. And the reason why is that we are kind of a positive platform, like as you mentioned, is the best platform for inspiration. Definitely, that's our place. We do that better than any other platform, because in the platform there is a positivity across the whole thing. Like we work for having this positivity across the journey for everyone. Like we have tools that we only us have, like to make people feel represented. For example, if you have curly hair or you have straight hair, if you have blonde or what, when you make a search for anything related to your hair, it drops like a menu and you can select your kind of the hair. Everything that comes later on your inspiration side is going to be related to the
Customized.
your way of hair. The same thing of color skin, for example. Like when you look for some makeup, like you select what skin color you have. So, and then all the related things. So that make people feel represented. So the interaction rates, like the way they want to come and to join, like is much better. So looking into, and that's why Gen Z is coming up as well. We are now launching a new tool that's to help people like to bring more diversity on body types. So how tall you are, how so the same way we are doing with the skin color we're doing for the other things. So these kind of things makes like the audience comes and stay and engage and love the platform as they do.
Which totally makes sense, because people come with an intention to Pinterest. So I've been eating like low carb, high protein, keto for a while. Most of my keto recipes I've got from Pinterest. And this is how I found Instagram creators as well, for example. Or now I'm planning the baby party for my little sister. So again, where I am, there I am. So there are always clusters, and it totally makes sense to offer more precise search results for the customer, for the searching person. However, on the other side, what are you doing with all the data that you're gaining? Because all these are data points that give you quite a good idea of who I am, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you have the whole data privacy, like everything you want to share, you can share, and you can opt out of sharing anything as well. So, but this data, the thing is, we use that in a positive way. Like we use to give you like the better things you want, that's gonna better fit for what you're looking for. And we have, strong policies as well to prevent Pinterest for being like, heading into somewhere we do not want to be. Like we have no politics, advertising. Also, like our policies, like in 2017, we kind of prohibited any kind of anti-vaccination content overall. With no pandemic coming up yet, like 2017, nobody knew that. So that's gonna come. So we just work for having like all of these borderlines and make sure like we are a safe space. And when you ask like for a mom or a dad, like, would you give Pinterest to your son? Of course, like no problem. Like, yeah, that's okay for our kids. But when you go to other platforms, it's too risky, right? So that shows like, how we are in a really special place on the journey and how we are driving like, and moving to the back to your first question, like what's the question that are coming up in 2025? There are two big things like that are raising up. One is that all of the the search, the new search engines, the new search ways like people are doing with ChatGPT, with Gemini, like all of the Gen AI answers on the search side, like what you're doing, like what's changing at Pinterest, like how do you see that as an impact for your business? The main thing is that the way of people searching has been evolving for a long time. Like, I've been for Google for a long time before. And what I expected when searching Google, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, were much different what I expect today at Google. It's the same thing, the same way. Like before, like there was one search bar and then one single link, sponsored or not, doesn't matter. And then we have a lot of like maps, we have finding places, we have hotels, we have flights, we have the expectation of the user. And when people come to Pinterest to make a search, the same thing, they do not expect to have a link. They expect to have an image, to have an inspiration, to have something that really matters for them. So, or videos as well to content. So that's the thing, like the search behavior has been evolving for a very long time. And it's not different than Pinterest. So people come to Pinterest expecting different results. And we are investing a lot. This year, for example, we are doubling our investments in AI to enhance our search tool and the search experience. So you can expect seeing a lot of different search features across our platform across the years. So I'm really excited what is coming. I cannot disclose anything right now, but it's coming a lot of great things, and we are investing a lot. Double down our AI investments on it now. So just because like the search behavior, the people behavior, not the search, like the people behavior, the people way, like the community, like is changing. So that's like the thing, like I would say like the biggest ask that people who are coming to me.
Thank you for these insights. I would like to add my second question here, if that's okay, Carlos.
Sure, go ahead.
So we just talked about the intent-rich discovery journey on Pinterest. However, as a retail reporter, I am a business creator as well. And when people create content with me, they want to see the return on their investment. So there are different types of KPIs rather than just add to cart ratios or like proper ROIs. What metrics do you have other than, for example, saves or close-ups? So clicking on the picture, opening it up. What are KPIs that brands, retailers measuring your success or their success on your platform on?
Perfect. Great question. Like our tool, like our platform, we have an ads manager tool, like that's a self-service. Anyone can be an advertiser at Pinterest. And we have the full stack of technology for advertising, like from upper funnel to lower funnel. We have all the whole foundation on, conversion API, of tagging, on integration with platforms we were discussing earlier, like the VTAX and, Shopify, WooCommerce. We have the whole, native integrations of all of these platforms. And we have like the whole chain on the measurement side. So we can, focus on ROI, we can focus on CPA. There are different ways of buying, advertising at Pinterest that you can measure and you can focus on. So we get the conversion side, we understand the cost of conversion, we can optimize for conversion, we can optimize for traffic, we can optimize for branding and awareness. For example, we have brand lift studies, we have, customizable brand lift studies for big brands that want to understand like what we're moving on people's mindset, So it's great to understand like how our competitors are coming, like when you create some customized answers and try to understand who has seen my ads or who has not. And actually, we have also some conversion lift studies that we can understand like the incrementality. Wow, some balloons coming. I've made something on my hands. I don't know why, but we have some conversion lift studies that shows like how incremental we are to the whole ads ecosystem of a company. So they can set up these studies. We can split, audiences who has been impacted or not. And then you can show if you didn't have advertised at Pinterest, you could see like this incremental. So this incremental revenue is coming from the advertising you're doing here. So all the stack of technology of AI that are behind, like we have the performance plus tool that make kind of everything for you. Like you just put your catalog and we make everything like to optimize for conversions and for sales. So that's like if you want to get more details on that, like there is some website like the business.pinterest.com. They have all details on how to start, like, and how to make it. And, you have the whole, sales team to support from every single advertiser, like that doesn't matter like how small the advertiser is. We have someone to help them with like on our end here.
Thank you so much. This was a brilliant answer.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alexis. Anyone else? Kamal, Mihaela, Rafa? Go ahead, Rafa.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Rogerio, pleased to meet you. And where to start? I actually have many questions. Maybe we should take a separate conversation at some point. So I'm just thinking which one to ask. But one thing, just to give you a quick overview, what I do is I work on advertising. I run an agency specialized in advertising, but we work with Amazon. So that's our specialty. So we work with brands that once you leverage their, also boost their sales on the marketplaces all over Europe, North America, Brazil as well. And obviously, as such, we get requests like many of our brands that we work with or the clients, they want to work with TikTok. And it seems like TikTok is a big driver for traffic for Amazon listings, especially in the US. That's what we see a lot. We also see in Europe. I know TikTok Shop is opening in Brazil or will open in Brazil at some point soon. So I think my question to you is like, where is Pinterest in this? And if you guys have if you have it already, I honestly don't know. If you have already like some plans to launch some kind of like influencer, where brands can use influencers channels on Pinterest so they can promote products and so forth, and they get compensation for that. Does that make any sense?
Sure, that totally makes sense, and that's No, an important topic. Like we have a whole team that works with creators, publishers, and influencers here at Pinterest as well. So they produce a lot of content, and as Alexa was mentioned, like the brands can also tag like products on the influencers and creators content. And if the creators accept that, like they can promote the creators content, like the brands can promote their content across our platform as well, and drive it to their website as well. So yes, creators and content are important drivers for us, and we are an important driver for Amazon as well, like as a traffic driver. So as you know, conversion driver, we partner really close to them, as you mentioned on Amazon side. But the one different thing on like TikTok and Pinterest, for example, on the creator side and the influencer side, is asking like at Pinterest, what leads is the content, not the person. What I mean is that I do not come to Pinterest to follow someone. So if the content is relevant, great. Like so, the creators at Pinterest, what makes them successful are the way they produce the content. Like they know how to create for Pinterest. They know what matters, and of course people follow them, people have their but it's not like that viral thing that everyone is kind of over. Oh, TikTok is viral. Like everyone is betting on the viral thing on TikTok, and of course drives results. Like there are some important place on the user journey on TikTok and all of the behavior and people behavior overall. But at Pinterest, like creators are important. We have a lot of partnerships with brands and creators here. Last year, for example, we've made the first original content production for holidays here in Brazil. That it was a Pinterest originals with creators, with brands. So it's a huge project. We created a studio at our office here to produce the content for brands and with creators to promote like the whole holiday season here. So there was a really big success with the editorial team, with a lot of different activations. So it was pretty great. So not sure if I answer everything, but yes, like creators are an important part of our business, and we partner with a lot of creator agencies as well here, not only here in the country but globally.
Thank you very much for your answer. No, I think you did answer. I have another second question, if I may, Carlos. But you kind of answered it already.
One more.
You kind of answered that already, but I just wanted to get a little more details. It's just because we actually work with a brand right now, and we're just testing Pinterest. We started this year, and this is new for us. And then I kind of want to ask if you have any tips for what kind of content performs really well in the platform. Let me just to give you like some kind of what we're doing, like because of budget constraints from the brand, then obviously we're repurposing a lot of the content they're already sharing on other platforms like TikTok and Instagram, but we don't see the same engagement, and we don't see the same results we see in the other platforms. So I'm just wondering if you have any tips or what would be the best way to approach Pinterest.
Perfect. Great question. This is one thing, like we have to understand clear like what to expect and what are the metrics we are looking, we are comparing over both platforms, right? So I would say like one engagement, one like, you're not expecting the same like rate on Pinterest as you're seeing like on Instagram. So that doesn't mean, doesn't mean that it's not performing. What I'd say is that, for example, we have some, measurement studies as Alexa has asked, like, on the whole journey. What I've been observing, there is a conversion analysis. Besides the conversion lift analysis, for example, we had the conversion lift. We have a conversion analysis that we call like heavy, like full. When you can, for example, upload the Google Analytics data to our study, and then you can observe like, okay, these conversions has been like for the whole attributed conversion for any channel. You can make it anonymized or not, but you can see like these conversions are coming at your Google Analytics from Google, these from Meta, these from whatever. And you can see, okay, this from this listing, like one part has an influence, has passed through us, like has been impacted across Pinterest. And these, for example, are not impacted by Pinterest, being on, an impression or a click on different things. What you can see and is, okay, what we usually see, like first thing, we always influence much more of the journey than you can see. Look, we can see from this, let's use Google example, this Google attributed conversions. Like we influenced, like part of this influence was impacted by 30%, for example. But overall, what we usually see is that looking in the overall, the conversions that has a Pinterest across the journey has 50% higher average ticket for that. And the conversion rate is much higher. This because of the whole journey intention we have behind. So maybe you are not attributing that, the conversion across the journey, because the last click is not coming from us, because we are influencing and thinking on a process that, okay, you are finding inspiration, you're finding inspiration, for example, of the white sneaker or discussing here. Okay, we find a lot. What you can make, like, maybe you're not deciding right now, or maybe you click and open to a browser. Sometimes the browser is going to open at Pinterest, is going to be a Pinterest browser, not your Google Chrome, so you're not logging in. The first thing you're going to do is, okay, open in Chrome. So cross browser, cross session, cross everything. And when you go to the whole funnel and attribution, you're not attributing that to Pinterest anymore. So you're not seeing that. So you think it came from, or, non-direct or direct, or, last click attributed conversion. So you're not saying it's that for Pinterest. So this is one thing, like you can do like more holistic way and using this measurement tools to help you to attribute correctly and to understand your measurement model, attribution model, everything on the whole thing. But additionally, we have our own like data inside our tool. Yeah, I understand that you cannot look on every single platform attribution and understand if you sum everything, it's going to be much more conversions that you're going to see because you have different things. But the way you're kind of duplicating that and attributing everything is going to show surprising results for Pinterest, I'm pretty sure. Makes sense?
Cool. Yeah, totally makes sense. The attribution thing is a huge discussion. But thank you very much. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rafa. We have two final questions here, one from Mihaela and then one from Marlene, which is in the chat. Mihaela, go ahead, please.
Hi, just wanted to say first, thanks for all these questions and answers. It was really interesting to hear your perspective, as I'm also like the biggest fan of Pinterest for years now. And yeah, so far, I mean, also from my experience, I know that Pinterest is really great for physical products in different categories. But I was just wondering now, out of curiosity, does it also make sense to advertise, for example, B2B SaaS, like software as a product? Do you have a user base in this direction? Or yeah, basically anything, any information on that part?
That's a great question, and it always comes up. Like what happens is, like, first thing, like every B2B is a B2C behind, right? Like all business has a person behind. So that's one thing. Of course, the right moment for finding, it's not exactly like the thing, but one thing, there's a recent study from Google that shows like the importance of building, B2B brands on the consumer side. Not sure if you've seen recently. It's not from us, it's from Google. It's really interesting. But besides of that, like what we usually have is that there are a lot of people coming up here to inspire for their business, for what they are creating, for their financial tips, for building like their store. So for inspiring different perspectives on what this user is coming. So there are kind of moments you can find these people and bring like in showing your offer. But it's not that people are not gonna come here and find e-commerce solutions for my website. This is gonna come somewhere else. But you can find and start building these audiences. You can, you have some, if you have some audience that works well for you, like we can bring and find similar behaviors, so we can try to match it, and find the right people to talk with at Pinterest as well. Mm-hmm. But to the other perspective, right? What those owners of business are doing here, on those executives on the companies are doing here, and try to find them in different part of the journey and show what you can offer and to make their life easier.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mihaela. The question from Marlene is if Pinterest is now becoming a marketplace or a platform that directs users to online stores for products on the platform. Kind of covered it, but maybe if you want to answer that.
Sure. At this point, Pinterest is our focus is on our advertisers, and we're driving them to their websites. So we do not want to own the conversion and make like the full field overall. So our strategy and our plan at this point is to keep like generating traffic and bringing the right audience and the right intention to the advertisers and the retailers, and they can own the whole process in the end and make sure they are converting in the amount they need.
Perfect. I think my final question, Rogerio, this has been amazing. So thank you very much. My final question is, who does well at Pinterest, and what kind of structure, if I'm a brand, do I need to perform within Pinterest? Because I mean, creating content isn't something necessarily easy, and it requires some effort, right? So who does well typically?
Great. Well, we have a lot of retailers overall and globally doing really well. Amazon, Tempo, Shopee, all the Chinese as well, and Mercado Libre in Brazil, and a bunch of others. So retailers do really well, and working primarily with their whole foundation on API for conversion, catalog API, and making sure like they have their catalog availability here, so they can focus and make it easier. So it's pretty quick and simple to make it. On the second, steps on creating content and having some branding activations and traffic activations, there are a lot of different ways on doing that. And one important thing to know is that on Pinterest is different than other platforms that we need to create content like every day, and the next day that content doesn't work it anymore. Like it's not perishable. So it's something that lasts much longer than in other platforms, because if the content you kind of published last year is still relevant today, is it still showing up? Doesn't matter how fresh or not. So that's the thing. So having a content repository here, if your content is relevant, you have something that people matters for people, so they're gonna come up and they're gonna show up, and you're still relevant, and you still have engagement on your content. So one thing is producing content for Pinterest is great, but bringing your content you already have and make it organized and really well distributed here has always an impact and has always contributed to your brand.
Fantastic. All right, so this was Rogerio Nicolai. Rogerio, thank you very much for your time and insights today. If folks here in our community want to find you, what's the best way? I mean, you're in WhatsApp, but outside we're gonna share this on LinkedIn as well and YouTube and whatnot. So
perfect. Yeah, just find me on LinkedIn, on the WhatsApp, on this community. Feel free to reach me out. I'm available, and count on me if you need anything. And thanks a lot, Carlos, for the invite and for all the content, like for the conversation we have. And thanks everyone for the questions. Great questions, by the way.
Thank you all. Thanks, Rogerio.
Have a good day. Bye bye.